Hi, you're on the Movie Girls channel. Want to watch the film Fall? Click like now and let's get started. These climbers are crazy. They've scaled a huge cliff and are risking their lives. They only use small carabiners for safety. The girl jumps over the edge, and her friend manages to catch her, but their mate is already far up. He is about to attach another climbing anchor to the ledge when a bird flies out and frightens the man. He screams and falls off the cliff, but is saved by a safety rope. Now he is hanging over the edge, but will the anchor hold? He doesn't have enough rope to reach the rock. To make up the difference, his wife unhooked the carabiner. He slid down another 6 feet and jerked the anchor. With a little swing, Dan manages to touch the rock. At this point, the anchor fails, and Dan falls into the abyss. 51 weeks later, Becky is in a bar, pouring out her depression. She calls her ex, only to hear his voice on the answering machine. Outside the bar, she meets her father, but why is he following her? He's worried about his daughter. It's time she forgot about Dan. He wouldn't have grieved so much for her. But Becky is sick of his advice. She asks him to leave her alone and leaves. The girl is not abandoned by her friend Hunter. She decides to pay her a visit.
You look, awful. Yeah, like really.
She's pissed off that Dan's ashes have been in a box for a year and her friend is stewing over it. Hunter shows her the B-67 television tower and suggests that they climb it together to scatter Dan's ashes. But after the incident, the girl is terrified at the mere thought of heights. In the morning, she thinks, what has she got to lose? She has to climb the tower.
Let's do it. Let's climb your stupid tower.
The drive takes 6 hours and the girls reminisce about old adventures and look at photos. In this one, Hunter is beaming with happiness, but who's that hugging her from behind? Just an old friend. Hunter runs her own blog and shoots crazy content about climbing. She asks the waitress for directions to Tower B-67. You don't even need a map. The red light high in the sky is the tower.
That's insanely high.
It used to be the tallest building in the States, but now the tower is obsolete. It will be torn down next winter, but the light still shines for pilots. To charge her phone, Hunter demonstrates a hack. She unscrews the bulb from the light and plugs in the charger.
How's that for a dumb YouTuber?
The girls spend the night in a motel. In the morning, Hunter dressed up for the shoot.
Tits for clicks.
She shows the subscribers her friend Becky and the two 000-foot telemist. They're about to climb to the top. The area is off limits, but they don't care. It's crazy hot in the desert. I hope they have enough water. Down below, a flock of griffins is feasting on carrion and Becky is posting about it. But they're here for the mast. 1,800 feet they will climb into the steel frame, then another 200 feet up the external antenna ladder. And there's a tiny platform at the top. When she hears this, Becky shakes with fear. The stairs also trembled at the sight of her. Becky climbs step by step, slowly making her way up, but suddenly the rusty step under her hand broke off and fell into the abyss. The old bindings are all loose, so there's nothing to be afraid of. They've reached the ropes, so they're halfway up. 1,000 feet is the same height as the Eiffel Tower. The girls slowly climb up, and here they have to step out of the frame. The view is so breathtaking that my palms are sweating, and the wind at this height is trying to blow the girls away. Only 200 feet to go on the outside ladder. Becky is climbing right behind Hunter, but why is she looking down? It gives her another panic attack. There's an antenna, and you'll have to hang from the ladder to get around it. Hannah overcomes the obstacle calmly, but Becky is so scared. Hannah wants to check the ladder and start shaking it. You fool, one of the bolts falls out of its mount. Becky doesn't see the danger and keeps climbing. Her friend has already reached the top. With one last push, Hannah gives her a hand. The girls manage to climb to the top of the mast in one piece. To capture the moment, Hunter launches a quadricopter and gets some cool footage, but her viewers want more, so she grabs the edge of the platform with her hands and dangles over the edge. She even manages to climb back up with a nifty move. She encourages Becca to do the same. The girl agrees to get rid of her fears. Hunter holds her hand and helps her down. Selfie time. Just then, the hand starts to slip, but she manages it.
You did it, you idiot!
She has nothing to fear after this. This is the best moment to let go of the past and scatter Danny's ashes. The widow makes a touching speech and lets go of her dead husband forever. Even the fearless Hunter is moved to tears. It's done, and they're ready to descend. The girls fasten their safety harnesses, and Becky is the first to go down. Suddenly, the structure fails, and the ladder begins to detach from the tower with a grinding noise. The ladder plunges into the abyss. A rope is all that separates Becky from falling, but Hunter is struggling to hold on to it. The rope begins to spin, and Becky has nothing to hold on to. Next to her is nothing but the bare surface of a metal pipe. Hunter manages to throw the rope over the mast and starts to pull her friend up, but with each tug, the rope frayed against the metal ledge. Then her hands slip through the rope and Becky is pulled down. Hunter holds her up with torn palms. Inch by inch, she continues to pull her friend upwards. By now, Becky has grabbed a step and climbed out onto the tiny platform. The girls burst out laughing. It was just like in the film. But how do they get down now? The stairs are gone. The two friends are trapped at the top of a giant TV tower.
Hunter, how do we get down?
At this height, the phone can't get a signal, but they notice a container on the mast with binoculars and a flare inside. It better be water because they've lost their rucksack. It fell out when the ladder collapsed and got caught on the antenna. But the girls aren't worried. People must have heard the rumble and called the rescue team, right? It turns out that Becky's leg is badly cut and she needs a tourniquet. At least she can go to the toilet without a problem. No one will see her. Hunter sadly admits that he's not blogging for money or fame. It's because of Dan. After he died, she realized that life is short and you have to make the most of every moment. It's been 5 hours, but the cops haven't shown up. Then Hunter looks through her binoculars and sees a van. Hunter is looking at her social media feed and she notices the likes on the Griffin picture. So the phone picked up a signal on the way up. They need to tie it to a rope and catch a connection down below, but they've only got 15 meters. The girl writes a post to her followers, asking them to call 911. She then secures the phone and puts it down. But no sending sound is heard, so Hunter hangs from the bottom step and slides the phone down. Her hand almost falls off, but at the last moment she manages to make it to the platform. The message hasn't been sent, but there's definitely a signal down there. The girls decide to drop the phone. To prevent it from shattering, the girls put it in a Converse and seal it with a sock. Or better still, a blogger's push-up bra. Helly sends the shoe flying, but did it work? It's evening, and still no lifeguards. But there's a man walking right under the mast. The girls scream, but he can't hear them from so high up. The man is about to leave, and to get his attention, Becky throws her trainers down. This gets the dog's attention, and the owner notices the shoes. But the man doesn't notice that it fell from the sky and just walks away. He's having a barbecue outside the van. They have to wait until evening and use a flare to get their attention. Soon, it's dark, and Becky pulls the trigger. A flash grabs the men's attention, and a bright light illuminates the mast. At last, they have been spotted. The men get into the van and set off to help. Not far from the tower, they find an abandoned car. But why did they take a tire iron and smash the window of Hunter's car? Yes, they take advantage of the situation and simply steal the vehicle. At night, the girls are illuminated by the flash of a red beacon. In her sleep, Hunter almost falls off the narrow platform. Becky's leg hurts terribly, but they can't even treat the wound. Then, she notices a tattoo on Hunter's ankle, 143. That's the numerical code Dan used to tell Becky he loved her. Helly admits that she had been seeing a friend's husband for 4 months. Becky spent the rest of the morning thinking about the affair. Hunter was her maid of honor, and she loved the groom. But for the sake of her friend, she decided to break up with Dan. Hunter apologizes profusely. Becky takes her wedding ring off her finger and realizes that her father was right. It's been 24 hours since they threw away the phone. The girls are dying of thirst, and there's a rucksack of water so close. There's also a quadricopter inside, which could have flown the note to the motel. So how do they get to it? The rope almost reaches the antenna. Hunter wants to come down. She confesses her love to her friend one last time. She goes down the ladder, but something goes wrong. The girl starts to twist on the rope and hits the pipe several times. Hunter manages to get down to the antenna, but she can't reach it, so she decides to unhook herself from the safety rope. Even that isn't enough. Hunter begins to swing and jump. She made it. She's got the backpack now, but she can't go any lower. Hunter is trapped on the flimsy structure. The girl tries to climb back up. Using a selfie stick, she reaches the rope and hangs her rucksack from it. The girl pushes herself off the antenna and clings to the rucksack as she flies. Hunter climbs foot by foot to the top of the mast. She almost reaches the top, But at the last moment, her foot slips. She falls into the abyss. Fearing the worst, Becky struggles to look down. But Hunter is fine. She grabbed her rucksack when she fell, but she's torn her hands from the rope and won't be able to climb again. Becky has to lift her up by herself. With great difficulty, she manages to pull out the rope, and her friend is back on the platform with her. Now they can get some water. Before it gets dark, they have to start the drone. They use an eyeliner pen to write a note asking for help. The drone flies towards the motel, but runs out of battery on the way. They have to switch on the return mode, and Becky catches the dead drone at the last moment. All that remains is to wait for a miracle. Becky wakes up in the night to find that she's the only one left on the set. Has Hunter really gone down? She shines her torch, but is attacked by vultures. Becky turns to see her dead friend being devoured by a vulture. Turns out it was just a nightmare. Becky has an idea. Use Hunter's trick to charge the drone from the lighthouse. After waiting for dawn, Becky finishes her last drink of water and prepares to climb to the top. Her foot is starting to give off a foul smell, but she has to climb the 30-foot spire. Becky starts to climb slowly. Halfway up, she runs out of energy, but her friend won't let her give up.
It's okay. It's just like pole dancing. She's my cherry pie.
And now Becky is almost there. The top of the beacon has become very hot, and Becky turns it off with her top and then unscrews the bulb. The girl plugs the charger into the base, but the plug is too short. Hunter suggests putting something metal underneath. Becky has a wedding ring after all. She throws her precious into the volcano, oops, right into the socket.
It's working!
The battery needs to be fully charged, and Becky will have to hold onto the pipe the whole time. But with only 2 sections charged, her muscles start to shake. That's when she's attacked by a vulture. Surprised, Becky drops her backpack. And why didn't Hunter catch it? The vulture attacks again, but Becky waits stubbornly for a full charge. Only then does she come down. It's time to launch the drone. It successfully crosses the exclusion zone and passes the point of no return, but just before the motel, the quadricopter is hit by a truck. The driver gets out to look around but never notices the note. It makes Becky cry. The vultures are already circling overhead, and a thunderstorm is gathering on the horizon. Becky can't take another night. To regain her strength, Hunter tells her to eat something. Becky wants to take one last chance, to put her phone in Hunter's Converse and drop it again. But Hunter says her shoe is downstairs. But it was on her foot, wasn't it? Yes, but she herself is downstairs. Miracles don't happen. When she fell, she didn't catch the rucksack and fell on the antenna. To calm her down, Becky's subconscious made up this story. Only now does she realize that she's all alone. In the night, lightning strikes everywhere. A strong wind tries to blow the girl down. She clings to the platform with all her strength. Becky makes a farewell video for her father. He was right about everything, but Becky will probably never see him again. By morning, the storm has passed, but the girl lies motionless. A griffin smells the prey and starts pecking at her leg. Just then, Becky wakes up. With a deft move, she grabs the griffin by the neck, but the bird fights back. The girl kicks the bird a few times against the metal. She needs to regain her strength, so she starts devouring. Who's eating who now? Finally. Becky has enough strength to go down 1 level. She attaches a carabiner to the last rung and begins her descent to epic music. The rope runs out, and she has to unhook the safety rope and jump onto the antenna. She lands safely. She is now standing next to Hunter's body. Becky is texting her dad, asking for help and adding, "I love you." She hides her phone in her friend's shoe. Then she puts it in the open wound on her body. This way, Hunter can do her one last favor. And Becky pushes her down. But the antenna mount is creaking and swaying in the wind. How long will it hold? Becky's father drives past the motel, heading for the B-67 tower. Half a dozen police cars and a helicopter are already gathered downstairs. But up close, he sees a corpse in a black body bag. Then he gets a call from behind him. "Daddy!" His daughter runs into his arms. On the way home, Becky realizes that life is short and you have to make the most of every moment, like if you agree.